Hello my friends, I'm very sorry I can't be here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make a histogram using Desmos. It works very similar to the TIs, but I know everyone has access to Desmos either on their iPad or on their computer. So what you're going to do, you're going to go to Schoology. Remember that we're working out of Chapter 2, so any page numbers referenced, like page 61, is in the Chapter 2. On Friday, your responsibility is going to be to go through the summary and review of Chapter 2, and I'm also going to have a practice test loaded up. So just so you know, I will have a practice test for you about what I expect you to know from Unit 1 and Unit 2. Okay, so what you're going to do, take this and take the attachment and send it to Notability. What I've done is I've just dragged the data from last class over because we're just going to use it, same data, same stuff. And then make sure you have Desmos open too. What you're going to notice is that I have a good old split screen rocking. Okay, I want to use the number of college faculty data. So I'm going to go over to Desmos here and I'm going to add a table. And I'm going to enter all of these numbers in my table. So 165, and then if I hit enter, it drops down to the next level. Go ahead and pause the video, enter all the data, and then come on back. Okay, so I've got all my data entered. I need to find my lowest and my highest values. My lowest value appears to be 70, and my highest value is 389, right? So we're going to do 389 minus 70. That gives us 319. We want 7 classes. Okay, so I'm going to divide this by 7, get my regular calculator. And this is what's really cool about using the histogram and stuff. Once we get this number, we don't have to round it or anything. We're going to keep it as is. And I go to 3 decimal places. I taught AP Stats, and that's how it goes. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to tell Desmos how to do something productive here. So I'm going to add, I'm going to add a function. Okay, and it just happens to pop up at the top. If yours pops up at the bottom, that's not a problem. So speaking of adding a function, over here where it says functions, press on that button. And then check this out. You'd think you'd go to stats for statistics, but no. We're still doing distribution, so you're going to click on distribution. And what kind of distribution am I doing? I am doing a histogram. And check what pops up. It tells you what you need to enter. My data set first, which is x sub 1, right? And then I need to enter my bin width. So I'm going to enter my yeah, sorry for the weird pause. I actually had to go do a little bit of research because I couldn't get the x1. Well, it's actually really obvious. You're just going to type x and then 1. Duh, right? So I want x1, and I need a comma because I need to separate my data. Now I need those bin widths. So my bin widths are 45.571. So 45.571. There we go. And you're like, but Miss Meyer, I can't see anything. But wait, you can. What's our lowest value? It's 70. What's our highest value? It's 389. This is going from -10 to +10. So I'm just going to scoochie that over a little bit, and I'm going to go this way. Where's 70? Where's 70? Oh, there it is. So obviously my bin widths are 45 wide. I need to squish them down. So I'm going to take my fingers, and I'm going to put 2 fingers, one here, and I'm going to squish them together. Whoop. Oh, not that way. Oh, my bad. I have to be on the x-axis. So put your fingers on the x-axis and squish. Okay? Now, if I want to stretch up and down, I would put my fingers on the y-axis. There we go. There's one more thing we want to do, and that is we want to bin align to the left. We want to make the left side the beginning of our bin. So the left side here is the beginning of our bin at 70. Okay, so now I have created a histogram without having to do all that stuff we did last class, which was very challenging, right? Nothing weird, nothing difficult. It's just very easy to see a histogram. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to go to another set of data, which I haven't given you, but I will. I'm going to put it on the screen here in a second, and we're going to make another histogram. So I've grabbed another set of data. I'm going to go ahead and split my screen, right? I want to zoom in so I can read that data. So I'm going to review how we make this histogram. So the first thing we do is we click the X. Let's click the other X, clear everything out. I want to add a list, or a table rather. So add a table. I want to type all these numbers into my table. Go ahead and pause the video. Type all those numbers into your table, please. Okay, so I have all of my data in my list. What I have to do is I have to go back and find that lowest and highest value again. So for me, if I remember correctly, the highest was 70. There's a 70-year-old rocking around. Okay, and then the youngest was in their 20s. It looks like I've got two people who are 27 years old. So we're going to find the range. 70 minus 27, and that's going to give us 43. Okay, so again, you'll notice that the text is asking us to do 7 classes pretty frequently. If we've got a range of 43, that's about, and I divide that by 7, that's like 6 in each bin. If I divided this by 5, that would be like 8. So the bin width would be 8 years versus 6 years. Giving me a bin width of 6 years is actually a little bit better. So I'm going to divide that by 7. And again, I'm not going to round my answer. I'm going to go to 3 decimal places. So my bin width is going to be 6.143 years. Okay, let's go ahead and add a function. We're going to add a function. It's at the top. The function we want to add is literally in functions. And it's in the distribution, which is already pulled up. We want the histogram. And then they're like, okay, what histogram do you want? So I'm going to type X and then 1. So X sub 1, comma, then my bin width, 6.143. Because of how I scaled the last one, of course, this one looks very squishy. We want to do bin alignment to the left. Oh, doesn't work that way. So let's look at how the graph changes. If I go to the center of the bins versus the left of the bins, ooh, that's an interesting discussion for later. Okay, I'm going to slide this out of the way. Let's zoom in. We want to be able to talk about this data, talking about its shape, its spread, and any unusual features. So the shape of this, we're going to call this fairly unimodal because there is only one peak. So this is going to be unimodal and symmetric. Okay, so we're going to be unimodal and fairly symmetric. The unusual features is most of the ages seem to be, I'm going to squish this out a little bit, most of the ages seem to be between 30 and about 55. So most of the people who signed the Declaration of Independence were between the ages of 30 and 55. So my shape is unimodal. There's one peak. Unimodal, one peak. It's mostly symmetric, you know. It's a little skew, but it's mostly symmetric. And the unusual features is there's very few old people and very few young people who signed it. Makes sense. Cool. All right, so let's go back into Notability. And once we have our histogram, remember, we want to talk about shape. Come on, you can do it. Right? And so we said unimodal and symmetric. And we talked about unusual features. Okay, what else can we do with this histogram besides, I'm going to skip the high temperatures. What can we do with the histogram besides making a histogram. Nice, right? Well, I want to just kind of play around with this a little bit. And where did my numbers go? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Nope. I'm looking for how to add data. There it goes. So I just had to cheat. All right. So I want to just... So another thing we could do is just turn our histogram into a dot plot. And then we see, yes, we're very symmetric. We've just got this nice little hop here. I'm going to hit functions again, and I'm going to go to box plot. This is going to be fun. So what you're going to do is you're going to erase where it says dot plot first, and you're going to see now it just gives you a list of data. So now you want to go to functions box plot, and you want to get rid of this extra parenthesis. So where did it go? I have no idea. Oh, let me try this. I bet a box plot doesn't have... There it is. So there's my box plot.
Hey guys, I just want you to be aware that
So that's some cool things that you can do with Desmos. I'm going to go ahead and take this back to being a histogram. So how do I do that? I go to function, I say histogram. I need to erase that extra parenthesis, make my box width 6 point, I think it's 147. Push the over button, comma, 6.147. And then, freaking peanut butter. Okay, good. So what we can do now is I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this and drag it over to my Notability. Would you do the same, please? So what we can do now is we can take our histogram and turn it into something called an area or an area polygon. What we'll do is we'll take the middle of each of our histogram boxes, and I'm estimating, and that's all I expect you to do is estimate. I want you to have the right ideas. And so we're going to start at 0 and go up, and we're going to make straight line connections between these points that represent the middle of our histogram bars. And ta-da, this is now called an area polygon. So the last thing we need to do is make something called an ogive, otherwise known as a cumulative frequency graph. So I'm going to go down here, right? And I don't start until 25, right? So there's 25. And I'm going to end somewhere around 70. I'm estimating. That's all I expect you to do is estimate. These are percentages over here. So these are percentages. And I'm looking for the cumulative frequency as a percentage. You know what? I'm stretching too far. What I want you to be able to do is do the histogram and do the area polygon. If there are any questions in your homework that are about the ogive, don't worry about it. On Friday, I'm going to post that practice test. Because this is our first test, your practice test is going to look a lot like your test. Remember that you can and should make up your first writing assignment if it wasn't good, your experimental design if it wasn't good, and then any other materials you want to make up. Because once we hit that unit exam, that's it. I'm not taking any more stuff. If you need me, email me. Have a good day, and thank you for coming in.